WVUA News at 5 with your award-winning news team, Lynn Brooks, Terry Brewer, weather with Richard Scott, and sports with Gary Harris.
Some very beautiful clear skies out there across much of the state of Alabama today, but how long will it last? And what about the tropics? We'll have it all coming up for you.
We'll have an update on the condition of UA Athletics Director Mal Moore, who has been in the hospital since Tuesday. And you could call it the case of the determined suspects. They didn't get anything, but local police still need your help figuring out exactly who they are. But first, a look at an illness that's affecting record numbers of people this year. I'm Terry Brewer. Lynn Brooks is on assignment tonight. Federal health officials say the current West Nile outbreak is one of the largest in the U.S., with 4 times the usual number of cases for this time of year. We're hearing from a local doctor and seeing how people in West Alabama are trying to fight mosquitoes in our top story at 5 o'clock. The Centers for Disease Control says beyond setting a record for this time of year, cases seem to be accelerating, with about 400 cases reported in the last week. So far, there's been just 1 case reported in Tuscaloosa County. A doctor in Northport says 28% or 20% of people infected suffer from mild symptoms like fever, aches, and nausea, but 80% never show any symptoms. The rise in cases has people stocking up on insect repellents, and even when someone has West Nile, the doctor says the virus does not act how doctors would expect.
In most things in medicine, you know, when you hear hoofbeats, you think of horses, not zebras, and so West Nile is definitely a zebra, and this just happens to be an unusual year because the circumstances are right.
I have people buying insecticides geared towards killing multiple insects that also kill mosquitoes, and then I've got, of course, mosquito-specific products to put in standing water that gives residual killing effects.
Experts think the mild winter, early spring, and very hot summer helped stimulate mosquito breeding and the spread of the virus. Mosquitoes pick up the virus from birds and then spread it to people. Dr. Posey says only about 1 in 150 people with West Nile develop conditions like meningitis and encephalitis. Well, Alabama Athletics Director Mal Moore is out of the hospital after suffering an irregular heartbeat. 72-year-old Moore was admitted Tuesday evening to DCH Regional Medical Center in Tuscaloosa. Coach Moore's doctor said it was a precautionary measure, and all of the tests came back negative. And he says Coach Moore has a good prognosis. Forecasters are closely watching Tropical Storm Isaac, which could cause a number of problems, possibly even for the Gulf Coast. We'll take a look at that in just a minute. But first, people in South Florida are preparing for the influx of customers getting the supplies they need to be ready for a storm. Emergency management officials in Florida are encouraging people to get their supplies now to prevent being stuck in lines if disaster strikes. And with the latest on Isaac and what he could mean for the Gulf Coast and Alabama, here is Daniel Sparkman with Alabama's home team weather.
Yeah, Terry, today, early morning, our update from the National Hurricane Center is not looking good for the Alabama Gulf Coast. Looks like it's more likely now that Isaac will come ashore somewhere in the northern Gulf. Here is Isaac currently down to the south of the island of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. It's going to be moving off eventually into parts of Cuba. Not expected to make hurricane strength now, but should make it across Cuba, then hit the Gulf of Mexico and become a hurricane sometime during the day on Monday. And then as you see right here, the 4 o'clock update has it taking landfall right around Apalachicola sometime Tuesday afternoon. So we're going to have to watch it very closely. Some models have it shifting off more to the west, which could mean an Alabama landfall. I'm going to show you the models coming up in just a little bit, Terry.
All right, thank you, Daniel. On your Crime Watch, a case of a group of suspects who tried and tried but just couldn't get in. Investigators say the suspects didn't get anything, but they still want to know who they are. And the surveillance video is even a little bit amusing. Northport police say it happened Saturday in the 2800 block of McFarland Boulevard. Now you can see the suspects checking out the business, trying to figure out how to get in. Many of them came up and tried to figure out what they could do to get into the building, but of course they had no luck. More suspects come up, and then they decide to form a human chain to try to open the door. You can see them doing it right now. That doesn't work out for them. They fall down, but of course police say they didn't get anything. However, they still want to know who these people are. If you have any information on them, you can call 205-752-STOP. That's 7867. Your confidential call could lead to a cash reward. Well, it's known as the happiest 5K on the planet, and it's coming to Tuscaloosa in October, but it's definitely not your typical race. It's called the Color Run, and it's set for Sokol Park, Saturday, October 6th. It's a 5K run or walk where participants are hit with a colored powder along the way. By the end, your white clothes look more like a rainbow. The Color Run is designed to be an uplifting experience to help people want to live a life of health and happiness.
It's all about just being able to be with the ones that you love and enjoy the color of life.
The Tuscaloosa Color Run will benefit the charity Read Bama Read. There's a link to the Color Run's website on our website. That's WVUATV.com. Well, health experts say about 12.5 million children across the country are obese. Because of that, school meals are looking different this year, including right here in Alabama. Reporter Renee Marsh shows you how school lunches across the country are changing this year.
You want chicken or grilled cheese? At Barcroft Elementary in Arlington, Virginia, the chicken nuggets are baked, the bread is wheat, and the cheese is low sodium. The school lunch menu here and in school cafeterias across the country have been nutritionally revamped for the first time in 15 years.
More fruits, more vegetables, more whole grains.
Those are the strict new USDA guidelines schools will follow this school year. It's all a part of the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act, championed by the First Lady and signed into law by President Obama. Now schools will offer fruits and vegetables every day, more whole grain, less saturated fat, trans fat, and sodium, and limit calories based on age.
You have to meet the guidelines, but at the same time, you want it to be appealing to the kids.
We're trying to appeal to them with the color and the texture of the fruits and vegetables, making things that they love.
Some schools like Barcroft have teamed up with local farmers to buy fresh produce straight from the farm. The healthier food may cost more, so in exchange, the federal government is increasing funding to schools that comply with the new guidelines, with an extra 6 cents per lunch per student.
Well, favorites like pizza will not disappear from the menu. The recipe will just change. They'll use low-fat ingredients instead. Reporting in Washington, I'm Renee Marsh.
The Tuscaloosa County School System says this year students are required to have a fruit or vegetable on their tray. Also, plain milk is now 1% and nothing with a greater fat content, and chocolate milk is fat-free. The system's nutrition director says changes will apply to breakfast next year.